Thank you for joining me on my masterclass. Now, today we're talking about countries that you can migrate to for economic prosperity. Countries that you can migrate to or relocate, whatever word you want to use for economic prosperity. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is I think 3 weeks ago I did a video, and the title of that video was countries that Ghanaians, Kenyans, and Nigerians can visit visa free countries for Nigerians, Ghanaians, and Kenyans. And that video went viral. Now the feedback we got from that video, because we got a deluge of emails, and we also had massive comments, something like close to thousands of comments, just basically. And people were saying, we're not just tourists, we're not the 1% of the population that are very wealthy and can afford to tour. We are people who are looking for economic prosperity. And the only reason why we are leaving our countries is because there's no economic prosperity in our country. So why we are moving is because we're looking for economic prosperity. So can you please, Pastor Reno, tell us the countries that we can move to for economic prosperity? So I went and I did some research. We've been doing the research, my team and I, and then the results just came in. You see, it's not just that you want to relocate to any country, you want to go to the right country for the right reasons. So what are the right reasons? Now, you have to look at it this way. You got to take the gross domestic product of the country, the GDP, and the per capita income, and then the need for migrants in that country. Now, how do you know that there's a need for migrants in a country? You look at the fertility rate. On average, if the fertility rate should be above 2. So what does that mean? It means that on average that women should have at least 2.5 children. 2.5 children. That way you can sustain the population. So the population is not going down. You're sustaining the population. So if a woman has 2.5 children, on average, that means like, you have a father, you have a mother, and then you have 2.5 children. The population rate is going to be stable. Why 2.5? Why not just 2? Because obviously there's a mother and a father. If you want to sustain the population, it should be 2. Well, the thing is, not every child that is born reaches adulthood. A lot of children die at birth or before they are 5 years old. So it's safer to have 2.5 children. Now, here's the thing. A lot of countries that have growing GDPs, that are economically stable, that have a high per capita income, they have very low fertility rates. They've got very low fertility rates. Now, when you talk about a fertility rate that's low, it has to be below 2. So that means on average, women are having less than 2 children. So now, if you look at it now, the top 10 countries with the highest population growth rate in the whole world are in Africa, and these are very, very, very poor countries. Like the top is Niger Republic. Shares a border with Nigeria. They have the highest, fertility rate in the whole world. They have the highest fertility rate. It's very, very high. Something like 6%. 6. That means like on average, women have almost 6 children. Now, you have other countries, Somalia, going down Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali. These are countries with very, very high, fertility rates. But then they have very, very low economic activity. Their GDP is low. Their per capita income is very, very low. Now, on the other end of the scale, you have countries, for instance, France. France has a population fertility rate. That is, on the average, women in France have 1.87 children. 1.87 children. Now, France's population, if it continues that way, is going to start dropping. Now, you don't want your population to drop. The problem when your population drops is that you're going to have more old people, more aged people, and less young people. And you see, how a civilization survives is that the young people are more, and so they are productive, and then they can fund the social security for the elderly. So the elderly they are going to be getting pension. The pension is going to be coming from the productivity of the younger people. And so the younger people, when they get old, their own children will fund their own pension. But when you have more old people and less young people, that civilization is threatened. If you had read the papers yesterday, You know, I believe Elon Musk gave an interview. And it was basically it was syndicated. You read the papers. It was in the Washington Post, the New York Times. I'm sure it was also in the papers in your country. And I'm going to quote Elon Musk. He said, "The biggest risk to civilization is our birth rate." Now that's a direct quote. He said the biggest risk to civilization is our birth rate. The birth rate in so many countries is going down. And so they're going to need migrants. They're going to need people to relocate there. Now they're not going to start telling you. They're not going to start advertising it. Because they don't want you to overwhelm them. So they're doing it cleverly. They're doing it cleverly. They know the amount of visas that they're going to be releasing every year. They know the amount of policy that they're going to be making, so people can come. Even if you come in as a tourist, with a tourist visa, you want to change your status, they're going to allow you. You obviously have to go through some steps. So now, which countries are these? The first country, obviously, France, with a fertility rate of 1.87 for women, and so their GDP is growing at more than double their fertility rate. So obviously they're going to be needing migrants, economic migrants, people who can work, people who are not going to be a burden. Denmark, Denmark. Now Denmark has a fertility rate of 1.7 per woman, 1.7 per woman. So that's below 2, and it's below the ideal of 2.5. So their population, if they don't allow migration, is going to be going down, and that is a very bad sign for them. So obviously they're going to be welcoming, they're going to be needing. No, it's not because they're going to be welcoming, they're going to be needing migrants. Iceland, 1.7 fertility rate, 1.7. And that's in Iceland. Iceland is one of the countries with the fastest growing GDPs in the whole world. So Iceland will definitely be needing migrants, economic migrants. Come, you can work. We're happy. You can work in the health sector. You can work in different sectors. Come. I was in Iceland 2 weeks ago. I was received by the Minister for Tourism, who is now the Minister for Foreign Affairs. The Prime Minister changed her ministry 2 weeks ago. But here's the thing: when I was in Iceland, almost all the people that attended to me, as workers, were from outside Iceland. Another country, Sweden, 1.7, that's their fertility rate, 1.7. So that means women are having, on the average, 1.7 children. That is not nearly enough. It's not nearly enough. So Sweden is a country that will need, a massive influx of people. I've been to Sweden myself, and I've seen it. Like, this is a country where they really, their economic prosperity is being driven by an influx of migrants. No, they don't just want anybody, they want people who are economically viable. That means people who can work. And most of you watching this are people who can work. So another country is Australia. Australia, the fertility rate is 1.6. Now, Australia is it's kind of unique in the sense that, yes, they do want migrants, but they are, oh my gosh, I try to say this in a nice way, but they are very, very particular about the kind of migrants that they want. They often would want migrants of, and not just them, Australia and New Zealand, of, well, let me just put it this way, they are almost discriminatory, and I mean, it looks like a bad thing when I say it, but there are reasons behind it. It's not a country that I would pick, because of the hoops that you're going to have to jump through to get there. But it's a country that if you go there, you'll be economically, you have a great chance of being economically prosperous. Now, the next country is Belgium. Belgium, the fertility rate is 1.5, 1.5 per woman. So obviously they're going to be in need because they have a very good GDP. Their GDP is actually good. It's almost double their fertility rate. So there's a need for highly skilled migrants, And then Estonia, it's a country I've been to. It's really, really, really cold. I'm telling you, it's cold. I went there, I think in end of March, and then it was still snowing. So you got to take that into account. But if you can tolerate the cold, it's a country worth moving to. Their language is it's a bit tough to learn. and they do understand some English, some English, So Estonia, it's a good country. Estonia is one of the countries in the European Union that has a very, very highly growing gross domestic product. So if you can tolerate the language barrier and then the cold, it's a country I'd recommend for you. And then you have the United Kingdom, which has a highly skilled migrant program. They have a highly skilled migrant program. So the United Kingdom is welcoming of people. It's a highly skilled program, where they're welcoming people, with skills that they need. And then it's not just skills at the very, very top. They're also welcoming people with skills at the bottom. Bus drivers, right now they have a shortage of lorry drivers, delivery truck drivers. Because it's an island, they get a lot of their food, a lot of their products from continental Europe, and from elsewhere. So they need people who can drive trucks, And then also a big driver of migration to the United Kingdom is the health sector because of the aging population. So the UK, then the United States. The United States has a fertility rate of 1.7. And now, when you hear that the United States has a fertility rate of 1.7, you now think it's not even balanced, because in the United States you have different subgroups, different ethnic nationalities. Some of them have very, 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 very low, and some of them have very, 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 very high. So on average it's 1.7. The United States is a country that is in need of population, migration. Like Australia, they do put some measures there, but their measures are quite reasonable, especially after the change in administration from a Republican administration to a Democratic administration. So Canada has a fertility rate of 1.4. 1.4. Canada has a fertility rate of 1.4, and Canada's economy is growing because they have a lot of oil. So their fertility rate is growing, and so it's a country that is welcoming. Now, they do have strict guidelines, but when you meet their guidelines, they just give you all you need to come to their country. So Canada is a country I would recommend seriously. Germany is another country I would recommend. The thing about Germany, though, is that they tend to get a lot of their migrants from Turkey. Now, the problem with that is that Turkey itself is now facing, initially Turkey didn't have this problem. They had a fertility rate above 2.5, but now Turkey's fertility rate has actually gone down below 2. So on average, women are giving birth to less than 2 children. It's quite understandable. When education rates go up, population or fertility rates go down. So traditionally, Germany used to get a lot of their migrants from Turkey, because there was some kind of like affinity, cultural affinity, geographic affinity. But now, Turkey has issues of their own. So it's a country in need of. I was in Germany when I think it was about 6 weeks ago, and there are a lot of migrants in Germany, from Africa, from Asia, a lot of migrants, filling in vital positions, and they need more. Then Ireland, the fertility rate of Ireland is 1.7, and Ireland definitely needs more. Norway, the fertility rate is 1.5, and their GDP in Norway is very, very high. Why? Because like Canada, they've got large oil and gas reserves, and they also have a very good manufacturing sector. Then also you have Switzerland, and which the fertility rate is 1.4, and then the GDP rate is more than double that. So obviously they're going to need, a lot of migrants. Now, you see, I've done this. Some countries that I put above others, even have a lower fertility rate, but yet I don't even mention them. Why? Because you don't want to just go to a country with a low fertility rate. You want to go to a country with a low fertility rate and also a high GDP. So that means that the conditions are very, very conducive for migrants. Now, my name is Ronald Mokri. If you watch this video and you have issues, questions, or comments arising from them, that's okay. You can put them under the comment section of this video, or you can go to my social media profiles. They are all verified. All my social media profiles are verified with that blue tick. So go there, put your questions there. My staff and I were very, very good at tabulating questions, comments, and then responding to them. They determine the kind of videos we're going to do, and a lot of stuff like that. So we will respond to you, and I thank you for watching this. God bless you.